position was significant. Being a Black woman was even more so. Emmeline Davis was a role model. She was powerful, independent, self-assured, and driven, all things I'd felt as if I'd lost for a while, but had been reestablishing since being back in Santa Sofia. She was my role model, too, come to think of it. I'd done a reset with my life when my mother had unexpectedly died. I'd left Austin behind, along with my photography business, my ex-husband, and the heavy Texas heat. Finding Yeast of Eden and Olaya Solis had been my first saving grace. Being back with my father and brother and Emmeline had been another. Discovering Olaya's bread-making classes and the passion for baking that ensued had been a huge part of finding my place in Santa Sofia again. Getting back to photography had also helped. And meeting octogenarian Penelope Branford and becoming a de facto crime solver was the proverbial icing on the cake. Life was pretty good at the moment. Em bought the ring, her expression giddy as she left with a little velvet jewelry box in hand. "Tonight, Billy and I get engaged," she said, and then with a wink, she added, "You and Miguel are next." "One happily ever after at a time, sister," I said. Reconnecting with Miguel Baptista, my boyfriend from high school, had been my final saving grace. We had a complicated history, but were giving each other a solid second chance, and it felt right. But marriage? We weren't anywhere near that life milestone. I'd done that once. Infidelity on my first husband's part had ripped it apart. If and when I tied the knot again, it would be for keeps. "Just sayin', sister," she said, and then she laughed. "We really are going to be sisters, officially." I put my arm around her shoulders and pulled her close. "We don't need a marriage for that. But I can't think of anyone I'd rather be family with, Em. Truly." Chapter 2. My life seemed to revolve around baking bread and photography. Since I'd been back in Santa Sofia, I'd spent untold hours at Yeast of Eden, absorbing every bit of bread-making expertise I could from owner Olaya Solis. I'd stocked my own kitchen with every imaginable baking tool, from a heavy-duty stand mixer with a dough hook to proofing baskets in a variety of sizes to a Danish dough whisk. The process of mixing the flour, yeast, and water together, digging my hands into a mound of dough, and immersing myself in creating something life-sustaining from just a few ingredients fed my soul. Photography did the same thing, only it fed my creative mind. Working with light and images let me freeze a moment in time. Finding something extraordinary in the ordinary was the greatest challenge. It was emotion, love, foreverness. When I wasn't baking, I was observing, trying to capture the humanity around me through the lens of my camera. I'd been messing around with cameras since I was 9 years old. My mother had given me my first one more as a means to keep me busy and out of her hair than for any other reason. Little did she know she'd set me on an artistic path. I'd long since archived the photography blog I'd started back in high school, but had gone on to earn my bachelor's degree in design and photography. The business I'd had after college, in Austin, had collapsed when I moved back to my hometown, but now I was at it again, speaking not with words, as a writer did, or with clay which a sculptor used, but with the images I captured from behind my lens. Building a website was on my list of things to do now that I'd decided to rebuild my business. I had to start from scratch, given that I'd been in a different state for the last decade and a half, but I was up for a challenge. If I could spend every waking minute either baking bread with Olaya or exploring the world with my camera, I'd be utterly content. After leaving Emmeline at the jewelry shop, I came home to work on my website, Ivy Culpepper Photography. Over the last several weeks, I'd been creating galleries, business and senior portraits, children, maternity, babies, pets, weddings, and commercial, and loading images to complete the site, creating private client galleries so my future clients could view their portfolio of photographs.